Well, John and Jim, I have to follow you now. It's a great honor for me to have been asked by DeAnn Pence to present this award to her. She has been a great influence on my life. She's been a major person in decisions that I've made as far as my career has gone. I was one of her first students for her to take to the National Convention in 1966 to St. Louis, and she told me not to tell any stories about that, so I won't. But I'll tell you after this is over. We learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about, at the time, FHA, and it started me off on a path that I've never regretted, and it's been something that she has stayed with her entire life. I'm not going to go into anything that's already on her vita that you've read, or I'll try not to do that, but I do want to tell you a few things about her. She is one of those that through the years she's been called different things by her students. My generation, she was Miss Pence. Miss Pence, Miss Pence. She probably got really tired of hearing that. And then my sisters that were a little younger, she was Pence. And then I heard that later on she became Pensy Poo. So, I'm not sure which she preferred, but I know that they were all three terms were very endearing to her, and they were of utmost respect to her. She is one of those that introduced globalization to her students before it was really even in. And what I mean by that is she brought international students, or they were called foreign exchange students, to our community, which was probably an eye-opener for them to come to Chandler, Oklahoma, but it was certainly an eye-opener for the students of the community. Many memories are shared about these experiences with different students from different different classes that she did teach. As I said, she was one of the greatest influences on my life as far as my profession goes, and also my personal life. She continues to be an inspiration to all the hundreds of students that she has taught. I would like it. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you realize this or not, but she is actually the second home economics or family consumer sciences teacher to receive this honor. Others have had the background of teaching family and consumer sciences and went on to something else, but she is only the second. Gene Robinson's here tonight that was the first. She is our community is very proud of her. We feel very fortunate to have had her and her family all these years. And I would like for her family to stand, and all of the people from Chandler that came to honor her tonight, if you would stand too. Thank you. She's been a great mentor to many, many teachers, many students, and she will continue to be as long as she's around. She's going to be around forever in our thoughts and in our lives. So I'd like to introduce to you DeAnn Pence.
I would like to thank the Career Tech Foundation for selecting me for this most prestigious honor. I'm sorry that I didn't know Mr. Foster, and I just recently met Dr. Knight, but I consider it quite an honor to be included with this group. Dr. Weatherford, he's been the voice for FHA and FCCLA conventions for a long, long time, and I'm not sure we could even do them without him. He makes it appear so simple. Now, it may be falling apart behind the scenes, but we never know. I would also like to honor and thank the Family and Consumer Sciences staff for this honor of a nomination. We're so blessed to have such professionals in our field, and they are always ready to help with anything a teacher might need. I always felt that I was luckier than just a regular teacher because I had this support system, this network that I could call upon. And it seems oftentimes that the regular teacher was just there fending for themselves. Edna Ruth Mahaffey, State Program Administrator, is a true role model for all of us to look up to and to admire. Cindy Oldham, Assistant Program Administrator and the North Region Program Specialist, was my program specialist for many, many years. She always had a kind word of encouragement and with help and guidance when we needed it. I worked with both as a fellow FHA advisor, and then as she became the state FCCLA advisor, Denise Morris. She's a refreshing young lady to work with our young people today. Betty True, Northeast Region Program Specialist, always has a smile, and I think she has something going with the Mr. Pence. It's a good thing I'm not a jealous woman. Donna Cates, Southeast Region Program Specialist, has been ready to help us with curriculum updates, current trends, and keeping the local teachers on the cutting edge in today's fast-paced world. Carolyn LeGrand, Southwest Region Program Specialist, and Bobby Rogers, Region Program Specialist, are always there to help us when we need something. Thanks, ladies, for all that you've done for us. We know that behind the scenes, many times, there's a network of others that make our jobs a whole lot easier and better. Kim Randolph, Head Secretary, and Cindy Moody, Secretary, are always there to answer questions. All you have to do is make a phone call, and they're Johnny on the spot. I feel that the heart of FCCLA is really with Patsy Bateson, FCCLA Secretary and Bookkeeper. Because of her, the FCCLA Alumni Association records are up to date and readily accessible through the internet. A huge thank you to you special ladies. With a team like this as supporters, I feel that Family and Consumer Science Division is just like a huge family, and that fits with the mission of FHA. Do you realize we're the only youth organization with the family as its focus? I'd like to thank my family for all the support that they've given me through the years. My mom, Edna Bean, my brother, Donald, and his wife, Patty Bean, and my little brother, John, and his wife, Judy. Now, my father and mother made sure that my brothers and I had a college education, even though they didn't. Since we lived on a farm and were involved with 4-H, it was natural that the boys would study agriculture and I would study home economics. Both Donald and John still live on our grandfather's farms and use their education just as I did in the classroom. My better half, Kenneth, has truly been a supporter for my entire career. When I had my first state officer in the early part of my years, he served as my chauffeur. Linda Thomas Anthony would come home with us after a football game on Friday night, and then we'd spend part of the short night sleeping, and then depending upon where we had to head to in the northwest part of the state, we would leave with our daughter Loretta and Linda, plus their pillows, and begin driving. Just as we arrived at our destination, we'd find a clean filling station, change into professional dress, and arrive for our Saturday meeting. Now, you didn't see us missing class for those extracurricular activities in those days. Thank goodness I became a jazzy lady with my wheelchair, because I was about to wear out my mate of 45 years. He was the best pusher in town in this non-handicapped world. Hugs and kisses to you, Kenneth. My daughter Larita has probably attended more teachers' meetings and FHA meetings than some teachers. When she was in high school, she not only had to ride to school with her parents, one year she had 4 of the 7 hours in our classrooms. She needs a gold star for this. We weren't the first, but we were among the first daughter-mother team to serve on the State Executive Council. You've always been my special angel. And then I was doubly blessed to be my grandson, Douglas Anthony Lee's family and consumer home economics teacher for 4 years. And we were the first grandson-grandmother team to serve on the State Executive Council. Many of the skills that Tony has developed through FCCLA have come in handy in college, as he serves on the UCO Student Senate, was a charter president for his fraternity, Sigma Nu, and he also uses his skills as he works for Express Sports and the Blazer hockey team. He works as the public relations assistant. Good luck to you in your future, Tony. You know that you make your grandfather and I very proud. I thank Candy Siebert for her kind words about me. Candy and I took our first trip to the National FHA Leadership Conference in St. Louis. Now, this was the same year that all those nurses were murdered in St. Louis. So Candy was just a little nervous. But she kept me busy finding a store so she would have enough food to eat in the hotel so she wouldn't starve when until we got home. I'd like to thank my special escort, Candace Dasher. She's carrying on the family tradition, as her mom also was elected to the State Executive Council when she was in high school. May all your dreams come true. A heartfelt thank you to my extended family, aunts, cousins, and nieces, my Aunt Helen Rapp and Aunt Gail Hodges. You've been my support system throughout my life. I also want to thank my guests for attending this evening. I have Mr. and Mrs. Roger Parrott, one of my first chapter parents. Kent and Kathy Sherman, also chapter parents, but Kathy taught for me when I had open heart surgery. Mike and Marfreda Christie, both students, but they were also chapter parents. And their son Brian was the first male student I had take me for 4 consecutive years when he was in high school. Mayor Keith and Phyllis Duncan, chapter parents and parents of a state officer. Their state officer, Cammie, is now working as a nurse in Tulsa and working on her master's. Mary Parrott Selk. She was in my first class when I began my career, and she graduated from OSU at home economics. She's just began her retirement from the Stillwater extension. Stacy Sherman Malk was in my last class before retirement, and she's now attending Oklahoma City University studying nursing. She became interested in this through one of her STAR events, Students Taking Action for Recognition, as she signed up organ donors and interviewed donor recipients. Cynthia Snyder. When I began thinking about retirement, I asked my principal if I could help hire my replacement. And he said, "Are you going to retire?" And I said, "Well, one of these years I hope so." I told him about Cynthia, and I asked him if he would check with his friends about her, because I thought she would be a good addition to our school. He did, and they agreed with me, and she was hired when it was time for me to change directions. Now, since my retirement, I've become quite a Blazer fan, And one of my Blazer buddies is Tara Klinkenbeard. Thanks for all your support. Mr. Jerry Cashwer was my superintendent for many, many years, and he encouraged me in my career. Dr. Nevlin Selmont has served as my mentor since I began teaching, and she could always seem to spark my imagination when I was at a standstill in my thinking. And when I first went to Chandler, one of my fellow teachers and confidants was Thelma Clayton. Over the years, we sponsored hundreds of trips with the Pep Club, and we became good friends. To the rest of my family and friends, I thank you, and again, I thank each and every one of you for the honor of being inducted into the Career Tech Foundation Hall of Fame. Thank you.